totally things that are reachable in our
Absolutely.
day and age.
Yeah, for sure.
And relatable, too.
Yeah, everybody, like, who hasn't, in a rough patch, just picked up and flown to Ibiza?
Yeah.
Like, that's normal people.
You mean you just don't go to Belize very often? That's weird.
That's with the gun running. That's not so much on. That's a business trip. The blue countries are the countries we sell arms to. The red countries are the countries that launder the money. The green countries are the countries where we sell coke.
Yeah, man. I don't know. The cartel just gives me a checklist and I go through it, or I die.
Right. Yeah. Hello and welcome to the Games That Made Us podcast. I'm Brent. I'm here with my friend Kirk. Say hi, Kirk.
You say goodbye. I say halo, halo, halo.
Oh, God, he was ready.
Nice.
Yeah. You like that?
I do.
You like that shit, bitch?
That got aggressive.
That got dark in a fucking hurry. I like it.
Oh, welcome.
And we're joined, as always, by our good friend Benny. Say hi, Benny.
I'm less abusive.
Just now.
Yeah.
We'll wait till you get a couple more beers in you.
Yeah.
That's true. I have one in front of me that I'm itching to get into.
Yes. Oh my God. And I do love, like, universally, generally, Benny shows up with a beer that is like 3 beers worth. That's not that he drinks more than either of us. It's just that his beers are very stout.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they have to be measured in like log metrics.
Right.
Not logarithms like wooden logs.
Yeah. It's about 3 stone worth of beer.
Yeah.
And Brent, of course, is usually drinking some sort of other space poison.
That's true. Well, this is okay. Well, that actually let's lead into that. Let's talk about what we're drinking, because I am drinking a McGuire's Draft Stout, which, as I was telling Benny, is brought to you by the good people at the Aldi Corporation of America, and it's actually, it's one of those things where like the price of beer at Aldi keeps going up to the point where I'm like, why am I buying Aldi beer?
Yeah.
Because it's like $7 a 6-pack now, and I'm like, I could buy like actual good beer for that. But it's a very passable Guinness clone. It's the Guinness we have at home. I ordered Guinness on Temu, and this is what I got. What about you, man?
I am drinking Distill's blueberry crumble sour. It was actually a gift from Brent's wife.
Yes.
Very, very sweet of her to gift me something like that. 'Cause she knows I go apeshit for anything that's blueberry.
It's true.
And it's quite delightful. I've had this already before. And they nail it.
Yeah.
They nail it.
Yeah, I'm excited to try it here in a second. The one thing is we got you another gift, and it's just a big vat of blueberry jam that we're intending to rub all
Smear
over
on you.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So
Are you gonna like tie me to a tree again, like with that bear attack? That was obnoxious, dude.
That went from sexual to hilarious.
Yeah,
Put attack in quotes, Kirk.
The jam was okay, but it's when you were getting frustrated because it was taking too long. You started putting like honey on my nipples. I'm like, dude. Because that just attracted flies and mosquitoes, and then it went from like sexual dangerous to just annoying. Like,
right.
grow up, Brent.
Yeah, dude.
Like, if you're gonna tease me, like, either commit or don't.
Right.
Fucking asshole.
Right. Use hot wax like a man. I know. Right now you're still pounding your energy drink, but what are you gonna be getting into here, bud?
I will be getting into. It's called Celtic Cross. It's from Smoke Brewing. It is an Irish red.
It is,
and it's very good. I've had it before.
So fucking good. It's one of my favorite beers from there. They don't always have the dark Czech lager, and so which is my like go to. And it's like if they don't, it's the Celtic Cross. Although they've got they have a California Common right now, and it's so good. And it's got that like weird mintiness that that style sometimes has.
They had I don't think we're talking about the same thing, because they had their steam clone too. Mm-hmm.
That's the same thing.
I couldn't remember for sure. That's right. That's what the California Common is. Yeah, I love that unique kind of.
Yeah,
it's kind of got a unique pop to it.
Well,
not texturally, but flavor wise.
Yeah. Well, it'd be neat if it had just like chunks of shit floating in it. It's like the Russian mud beer that I was talking about the other day. But well, and
I'll take your word for it, man.
Do you know the story with?
Did you remember to strain your beer before you drank it?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Fine mesh. And nobody needs to go through a tea towel. That's overkill. Yeah. Anyway,
this has gotten esoteric away,
real quick. But no, so there was Anchor Steam, which they went away and then they just came back. So I'm very excited about that because I always liked their beer.
Did they come back?
Yeah.
The last time you and I talked about it, we were lamenting at their dissolution.
Yeah. Well, and so somebody came in and put some money behind the thing, and it's supposed to be coming back. So I'm very excited about that. But I love the fucking story with that was Fritz Maytag of the like Maytag appliance family was like taking a tour through this abandoned brewery. He's like, well, we could make beer here. Beer would be cool. And so like they just wrote the recipe and they're like, yeah, it's steam beer. It's been brewed here in California for hundreds of years. And it's like, they just made it up. Like it's got nothing to do with anything historical at all. I mean, I guess the 60s are historical now, but
the 60s are historical. Like I'm stuck on the idea of time. We're not going to go back to Chrono Trigger, I promise. But now I'm just thinking everything is
Chrono Trigger.
Everything's
Chrono Trigger Part 4. Here we go.
Fucking goddamn it!
You thought we were doing Halo? Fuck you.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Hey, speaking of which, Kirk, what game are we doing today?
Well, as kind of teased earlier, we're going to be talking about Halo, specifically the first Halo, or Halo Combat Evolved, but no one calls it Halo Combat Evolved. It's just Halo.
Right.
I thought it was Halos.
All of the various Hali.
I picked it because I mean we've kind of referenced like GoldenEye and stuff like that in the past because for the longest time, I mean FPSs, unless you're playing on PC and playing like Quake or Doom or whatever,
sure,
FPSs weren't super huge.
No,
and it wasn't until GoldenEye came around and really started to solidify it as an actual competitor inside of the video game genres. And while I did play a bunch of GoldenEye, I mean, going back and playing it just for fun as an adult, I'm like, God damn,
it's a little rough.
The control scheme sucks. I can't fucking see what I'm doing. Like, how is this awesome? And then I had flashbacks of asshole friends using Odd Job and multiplayer.
Yes,
we'd always automatically be like, no, you can't select Odd Job, you piece of shit. In fact, go get us some pizza. Fucking Odd Job. Yeah, exactly. It's like you would pick Odd Job, wouldn't you? Like, yeah, you know why you were the last invited to the sleepover? Anyway,
I was actually thinking about kind of what you were just talking about in terms of like the visual aspect of these old games, especially some like in the early days of 3D gaming that we were kind of getting into. Why it looks so much worse, like what, and not just looks worse just because we're used to seeing better, high fidelity, nearly photorealistic stuff, but like difficult to play because of it at some points.
Yeah.
And I was kind of thinking about that, and it actually came up based on the other game that we're going to cover later. But I think it's like an abstraction thing. Like our eyes weren't needing to see anything with higher fidelity because that was the highest fidelity we'd ever seen.
Yeah.
And so I think there must have been some sort of like abstraction going on. I don't want to get into something that's really not that related to the game, but like it's so hard to play some of these games, at least until you get 30 minutes into them and you're like, my eyes adjust to them. Sometimes it's just like, oh God, it's pixel soup. It looks like shit.
Even playing Halo, it's that was still rough going back and playing. Even if you try to switch it where, because I had the dual engine, if you had like the anniversary edition and it would do kind of the upscaled kind of help. Even that looked really rough. I mean, it was better, but it was rough.
I actually, and this is going to be, when we get to graphics, this might be my like one controversial take, because spoiler alert, I really like this game. I actually prefer the original graphics to the remake, just because, or the remaster rather, just because the original graphics are so much brighter and more colorful.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives it kind of a fun, like cartoony early 2000s.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a 2001 game. It gives it that feel, whereas because they didn't really do a lot with the models to like improve the models very much. It's mostly the textures that got improved with the remaster. And there's something about like almost photorealistic textures stretched over like Lara Croft from PS1 Tomb Raider that is just uncanny valley for me.
Because they did kind of I think they may have improved some of the models' geometry a little bit, but in general, I think you're right. I think that they implemented textures that simulate more depth of like, like technology, like circuit panels and like interactive technology that like, the alien civilizations would have set up or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's still just a flat texture, a flat image pasted onto a flat polygon.
Yeah.
And so it's just the illusion of depth. And as you kind of move around, it still feels a little bit flatter.
Well, let's save that for the graphics.
Yes, yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
We're getting a little ahead of ourselves.
Fair enough.
You're upsetting all of our subscriber.
We're sorry, fan.
Going back to the GoldenEye thing, like it was in every gaming magazine because gaming magazines were a thing. Yep. It was always, what's going to be the next GoldenEye? Who's going to be able to top GoldenEye?
Yeah.
Well, the game that eventually became that was Halo.
Right.
Halo would be the next game for a very long time, and even still to this day, it's like, what is like then like what? Instead of saying what's the next Halo, it's what's going to be the Halo killer.
Right.
Because Halo had been it is still like the reigning champion for so long. It's very hard. Even the company who created Halo went on to make another first-person shooter, and even that isn't a Halo killer. And it's the same damn company. Referencing Destiny, of course.
Yeah. Well, and I do want to talk about Bungie a little bit, because in preparation for this episode, I did go back and play the Marathon games.
Yeah.
And that was interesting.
Yeah, the Marathon games were kind of they were really rough. Think of it as kind of like their own take on like a weird like Quake Doom kind of thing.
It was very much Mac Doom.
Yes, exactly.
And
you mean McDoom?
McDoom. Oh my God. I saw that 80s action movie. Actually, I'm pretty sure McDoom is in Metal Gear Solid. That's a revolver ocelot.
He's hiding in the yes.
So who made
Handgun Cat?
Yeah.
Halo was created by Bungie, who is still around to this day. They make if you've ever played any of the Destiny games, that's what they're currently into.
Which feel very Halo.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I think because a lot of people because there's so in the future I'll backtrack, but just so to explain why Bungie doesn't do Halo anymore. What happened at a certain point after Halo Reach, which is later on, and we're not going to get into the other games so much, but after Halo Reach was kind of the Bungie's last Halo game, and then the people at Bungie who wanted to keep working on Halo stayed behind and created 343 Industries,
right?
Which is a reference to a character in Halo,
right?
And then the rest of Bungie branched off and did their own thing and eventually created Destiny. Right. But Bungie had been in the gaming market for a bigger chunk of the 90s. Yeah. Obviously, we talked about Marathon a little bit, but also if you've listened to the podcast long enough, subscriber, you've probably heard Brent and I reference Myth 2, Soulblighter, or any of the Myth games. Yeah. That's also Bungie. So Halo was really their first foray into more
console-driven.
Yeah, console-driven or PC-driven. First it was all PC-driven.
Yeah.
But it was their first take at more of an action shooter that took place in a like a true 3D space rather than, as we kind of referenced, it was like Mac Doom.
Yeah.
And originally Halo, back in the it was originally developed as a third-person shooter.
Right. I heard
and
this.
If you've they still have some of the debuts online where you can watch them. It looks like you can see from that initial announcement the main character, the protagonist, Master Chief. He had like an antenna on his armor. He was a lot slimmer.
Yeah.
Completely different voice actor, obviously. they were trying to show off a lot of what they were capable of doing with the engine they created.
Right.
So in the live demo or what have you announcement, they created because they were on an alien world in this trailer announcement,
right?
And they even had indigenous creatures running around and such, which they didn't have in the actual release.
Right.
It was originally, oddly enough, going to be released on both Mac and Windows.
Right.
Which is also bizarre because Mac, I mean, they just don't get games.
Well, and that's the thing that I think is so bizarre about the development of the Halo series and about Bungie generally is, like, we mentioned that Marathon was Mac first.
Mm-hmm.
The Myth series was Mac first. And they did later bring those games to Windows as well. But you've got this company that is sort of this iconic Mac-focused, Apple-focused video game developer in an era when there are, like, none of them.
Mm-hmm.
They wind up creating basically the flagship character, the Mario of Xbox, a Microsoft product.
Yeah.
And like, I almost wonder, like, even if Halo hadn't been as good as it was, if Microsoft still would have gone and dropped a big fucking suitcase full of money in front of Bungie just to deny Mac that video game.
At the time when they was at the point of development where they were kind of changing things up because they had bits and pieces of the game, and when they revisited it because they were thinking about going a different direction, they kept a lot of the same assets, but then moved it to a first-person shooter, and that's when they started to really think they had something, and then they went like hard into Microsoft.
Yes.
Like they went real hard into Microsoft. And basically, like you were saying, became the flagship game for the release of the original Xbox back in the early 2000s. Where I fit into the picture and how I was initially introduced to it was, I've said it 100 times, I'll say it again. I grew up really poor.
Yeah.
I didn't own an Xbox. I think I had a PS1 that I bought myself.
Right.
Very limited tech around the house. But at this point, my oldest sister had married who is now still to this day my brother-in-law. He was a big influence on my foray into being a tech nerd in my real life and an IT professional. But coming along with that, he was a huge gamer at the time too.
Right.
And he bought an Xbox. Like he was one of those people who, even though no one knew what the Xbox was, he was there on day one to buy. He would stand in line and he would get consoles like that.
Well, and I think it's, again, like I've referenced this before, we have quite a few younger listeners, and like if you weren't there, it's hard to explain to somebody now how bizarre the fact that, Microsoft is going to create a game console. And a lot of people were laughing at it.
Yeah.
A lot of people thought it was going to be a total failure.
Yep. Because no one had tried to make that jump in the North American market like that. It's always been Japan. Always.
Right. I mean, the last North American video game console that was released before the Xbox was the Atari fucking Jaguar.
Or no North American company was trying to jump into the game market, specifically the console market.
Right.
That was 100%
It was just Japan.
Sega, Sony, Nintendo. They had that shit on lockdown.
Right.
So it's really bizarre. Like you said, you're absolutely right. Like trying to talk to a younger audience and explain just how bizarre it was for a North American company. So not only that, but then explaining midnight releases, because that's not really a thing anymore either. So when the consoles launched, you'd have midnight releases where at midnight you could stand at your local Walmart or whatever. Of course, I couldn't in Nowheresville because we still didn't have midnight releases. Sure. The local Walmart was not down with midnight releases.
Right. The only midnight release that I ever participated in was, my dad drove me to St. Joe, and I got Linkin Park Meteora on a midnight release. Yeah, Aaron and I were just talking about
that. Funny enough, though, speaking of midnight releases, my first midnight release was Halo 2.
Nice.
And the local Walmart where I grew up was actually doing a midnight release because Halo was so huge.
So fucking huge.
So huge, even Walmart, a big evil corporation, was just like, oh, hell yeah, we got to bank in on all these, hillbillies who have Xboxes and who are willing to stand at midnight. And I got the was it aluminum case special edition that I had back in the day? Yeah, I got that. So it's bizarre even explaining midnight releases, but it really was a different place and time.
For sure.
And I went to my brother-in-law and sister's house. They were living in Nebraska at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And we were out visiting, and he was really excited because he had an Xbox.
Yeah.
And one of the games he had was Halo. I watched him play it, and I'm like, give me the controller. Give me the fucking controller.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I remember when he hopped into a tank for the first time, I damn near stood up and walked out of the room. I'm like, what? Like, no. And then how driving the Warhog and how you could get in the passenger seat if you wanted to, and you had NPCs who would jump in the Warhog with you. I'm like, it just mind blown.
That's still, the fact that you could, like, you and multiple NPCs can be in a vehicle together and cooperating is bizarre to me even now. Like that they were able to achieve that in 2001.
And our relatives from Germany were over at the same time.
Yeah,
my cousin Alex.
Oh, with the that you stole the fucking Game Boy from?
Was that him? Yeah, one of them.
Yeah.
Oh no, that was God, I can't remember her name.
Call back to the Link's Awakening episode.
Yeah. No, this was her younger brother.
Okay.
He came with. He was really excited too, because I mean, like, Germany, even still this day, is pretty on lockdown when it comes to video games. So him seeing Halo, as being a kid from Germany who gets, like, fucking at best truck simulator, over in Germany.
The level of violence that's allowed in video games, even regardless of age.
Germany would eventually get it, but I remember talking to him about it later, and all of his friends he would talk to didn't believe him when he went back to school in Germany, because they wouldn't get until later. They could only read about it, and he was just like, I played it when I was over there. They're like, you're full of shit.
You're full of scheiße.
No, but we played a lot of co-op too, so I got to experience that right away. Couch co-op,
so cool.
Which worked really well in the campaign and versus. But he was a couple years younger than me at the time. Mm-hmm. I mean, shit, I was pretty young too, but I was just like, whatever, kid. But I still remember to this day because it drive me fucking crazy, because I was way better at video games than him, because I grew up in American culture and he didn't have video games as much.
Right. He was outside enjoying the fresh air in public spaces.
Don't touch grass.
Yeah. Trying to help his own country convince the world, like, we're not evil anymore. Leave us alone.
But he's in one of those countries where every moment of your time isn't commercialized. The sap.
Yeah. But I remember...
Pathetic.
He would always... I'd get far ahead, and I'd get so annoyed because it's late at night, and I really wish he was just going to be quiet, because I'm like, if he keeps making fucking noise while we're trying to play in this dark living room... My parents are going to come out and be like, you guys need to stop playing and go to bed. Right. But he'd always be like, with his German accent, he'd be like, where are you? Where are you? I'm like, Alexander, shut the fuck up. I don't know if you can understand me, but I will jam this giant Xbox controller into your body. The Duke controller, yeah.
Oh, God, yeah.
Okay, and again, like, this is...
Another bizarre thing we need to talk about.
Right. Okay, so...
There are a lot of firsts that are... surrounding or directly related to this game.
Yeah. Okay, so, like, all right, so you're talking about an era where the big hardware that's competing with the Xbox are the GameCube and the PS2, which are both tiny little consoles. And then Microsoft's like, we're going to release a console with a controller that's bigger than a PS2. Yeah. Like the fucking Duke was amazing,
and the console could play DVDs, and it had a full-on hard drive inside of it, which also was a very new thing at the time. Everything was still memory cards at best. Yeah, but this had its own internal hard drive. It was wild back in that day.
Yeah. It was the first time reading, because I never had an original Xbox, but reading about it and being super hyped about it at the time, it did feel like, okay, so Microsoft is legitimately leveraging their expertise in the PC space to make a game console that is going to be unlike anything else. Mm-hmm. And it really was. I mean, it really was.
Their online service became the standard for the longest time. Yeah, Xbox Live became like the standard.
And a lot of people forget that XBLA started with the original Xbox.
Yeah, I mean, it was like an update later. You could buy at the store. You had to buy the CD. Yep, and it would load it onto your Xbox. Because even though it had internet connection, internet even still in that day was still like very
almost all
new.
Dial up. Yeah, especially where we grew up.
Oh yeah.
They my understanding is that they actually spent, like, they were looking very far into the future with getting into the console game, and you had to, because I mean that was the only way that you were going to make any money, unless you were going to bust out immediately by underdoing it. But if memory serves, they spent a lot of money developing that. Like there were some extraordinarily, like some really extravagant developer models of the hardware as they built it. Yeah. Didn't they build even that version off of the Windows kernel, at least to begin with? Yeah. I don't remember that it actually like ran on a Windows, unlike like your modern Xbox is basically like
it's like
a stripped down,
basically.
Yeah, it's a stripped down Windows kernel. But like even then, so exactly, they were using their expertise as, you know, building computers. I know they outsourced a lot to learn how to build a console. I guess what I'm getting at is go out there and look some of that up. Some of those, like the pictures of the developer builds were crazy, and like they overbuilt the hell out of it. It's fascinating.
Well, and the original Xbox, if you go look up anybody who was involved in the Xbox division of Microsoft from that era, they will tell you it lost so much goddamn money.
Mm-hmm.
I have to bring up this other bizarre thing.
Okay.
So, because you triggered my memory because you're saying how other consoles were really tiny in comparison. So the Xbox, the original Xbox, was heavy.
Yes.
It was so heavy. Yep. And most controllers now, too, are wireless. Back in the day, this still wasn't. But it was so heavy. Microsoft was so concerned about people pulling, because how many of us have pulled on our controller wire and pulled the console off?
Fucking detach.
Microsoft was concerned because of the weight of the Xbox, it could damage not only the Xbox, but if there's like a small child or something underneath it, they were going down, if not dead. I think I can't remember the stats. Isn't it something like 12 pounds or something like that?
It's heavy, man.
It's dense.
And the
older
wired
brother
controllers
spikes the controller, and little brother is dead.
Yeah. So this was such a legitimate concern to Microsoft, where their wired controllers had quick disconnects, where if you yanked on your controller, instead of it like pulling directly out of the port from the console, it had like a quick snap mechanism near the end, so it would just your controller would just easily disconnect.
And that should have been a required feature on every wired controller since Go. Mm-hmm. Because how many times, like I remember there was a friend of mine that I had when I was like, I don't know, like 12, 13 years old. And it was great because he fired, we were playing N64, I think, and he threw his controller and it pulled the console out of the fucking wall. But it also, like, he had really long hair and he whipped it like this and it grabbed his hair and like he fell over. And it's like, motherfucker, like, okay, this be a lesson to you on toxic masculinity.
And we talked about the N64 controller basically being a fucking tomahawk.
Yes.
Like at one point too, like that thing.
Yeah.
The shape was not only not ergonomic, but it was also hazardous.
Yeah. Yeah. Which one? There's a fucking argument. Which one's more dangerous, the Duke or the N64 controller?
Definitely the Duke. It's too heavy.
I would make an argument that the original Wii motes were probably.
Because people were flinging them all over the
straight,
fucking
like
place.
it was so hilarious how they eventually called its little attachment the nunchuck, and we're like,
no shit.
Yeah, no shit.
How many Wiimotes got like
embedded into TV screens?
Yes.
There's compilations on YouTube of just destroyed TVs.
Like, it became such a problem. Nintendo was just giving away free straps for your hand and everything. That was funny. And they started putting those warnings on every game, like, make sure you have your strap on your hand.
Strap on.
I'm trying to open my beer, but I have delicate fingernails.
Do you want some help, buddy?
No, I got it.
Also, you guys, we're clearly not on our game because I just said put your strap on and there was no commentary.
Yeah, are we seriously not doing phrasing anymore?
But, all right.
Oh, so I was threatening my German cousin with violence.
Yes,
as I do.
Yes,
or relative. I actually don't know where he fits in the family tree.
Yeah,
but Germans threatening
cousins are relative.
Yeah, but like, I mean, like,
okay, I'm sorry.
He might be
Germans are people.
No, I mean, like, he could be distant enough where
where you could marry your cousin.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
Is that not where you were going with that? I'm sorry.
Close to Arkansas.
I was just trying to read your mind a little bit.
No, God, that's something I really need to look into. Like, where is that branch of the company, branch of branch of the family where they fall into everything. I don't know.
We are a fucking shit show today.
Yeah. But like, Germans threatening other Germans with violence, what could go wrong?
Yeah.
Anyways, so I was so pumped. I was really hard to
wear this patch.
Yeah. It was really hard to sleep.
That was the dark moment.
I remember just trying to sleep on that couch and not being able to sleep, and just my eyes were open. I was laying on my side and just staring at the fucking Xbox. I'm like,
Right.
If anyone takes this goddamn TV from me in the morning when we all wake up, I'm gonna kill someone.
Right.
But so that
nice, healthy.
I'm like, I need to get my hands on one of these consoles.
Right.
And I need to get a hold of Halo. Fuck all the other games.
Yeah, it's that early compulsion that we all probably experienced with a game that like really compelled. I can repeat the same word in a sentence.
Sure. I'm gonna try to wrap up my childhood stuff though, just real quick, because I think I've been talking on
we've
quite a
been
bit.
all over the road.
Yeah.
That's not your fault.
Yeah. No, it's all good. So I needed this game so bad.
Yeah.
Where I picked up an extra job that summer. I think I was maybe 13 years old, 13, 14.
Yeah.
I talked to a local nearby farmer to see if he needed help, and he did. He needed help spraying beans. Because back in this day, before there was the big, more automated single-person bean spraying for weeds and whatever, it was all done on these bean buggies, is what they were called, where it had these arms that would fold out, and on the very ends of them out in the field, you'd have one person set on one end, one person on the other end, the driver in the middle, and you'd all go around with like little hand sprayers and spray all the corn that was trying to pop up through the soybeans and whatever.
Right.
I did that all summer and made enough money where... one weekend, because like Xboxes just weren't even on sale where I lived.
Right.
That's how rural it was.
Yeah.
So I got all the money from doing all that work, and they did sell games at the local Walmart, but it never had any Xboxes for sale.
Sure.
And it sucked. But I bought Halo and like put it in my bedroom and propped it up like it was a fucking trophy in my bedroom. And then one weekend, my mom and stepdad, we were taking a drive to Omaha for some reason. And we went to the mall there. I can't remember the name of it, but that GameStop that was in there at the time, that's where I bought my Xbox. And you better believe on that drive home, I opened the box and I read every fucking safety manual.
Yep.
I read the back of the box, the UPC. I read it up and down and sideways. And I brought my game, Halo. I brought it in the car with me, even though I didn't need to, on the drive, because I was anticipating playing this fucking game so much. I brought the game with me just so they could be together too.
Right. They could get acquainted.
They can get along,
Yeah.
They can get introduced to each other. But then I read the manual of the game back and forth too. And man, I got that home. I grabbed all my shit. And then I just kissed my mom on the cheek. I'm like, good night. Then I run down in the basement, immediately hook up the Xbox and started playing. And my mom came down in the basement. Sometime in the morning, she was like, we need to go to church. And I just go, no. No. Kirk, stop playing the game. No, get ready. We're going to church. No. She was like, you get your ass upstairs and we're going to church. No. Yeah, they know shit just went to church without me. And that was like my most defiant thing, because going to church every Sunday in an iron fist German Catholic household, you didn't not go to church.
Right.
So, it was bizarre. It was weird. It was like a hell-worthy trespass.
Right.
So I was just like, no. So I sat, and I probably had like bags under my eyes, and I'm just looking like a crackhead. Oh my god! But that was a major milestone in gaming experiences as a young man. Like I remember the first time playing like even Super Mario Bros. 3 or whatever, but none of it really was that big of a milestone to me until this, because there was so much backstory and then just outright defiance involved, and working in a hot goddamn bean buggy in a field in the middle of nowhere, getting sunburnt constantly, working my ass off to make enough money just so I could get this stupid ass console in this game.
Right. Well, yeah, and that delayed gratification, and then like getting it, and that feeling of like elation and victory.
I don't know if I was old enough to come at the time, but I would have if I. Yeah,
it's probably just like dry humping.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I never...
You know what I'm talking about. Don't fucking laugh like you think I'm crazy. Like, you know that age. Where you're just perpetually horny and just can't get any release.
I'm really confused and I'm frustrated.
Yes! Like, I don't know why.
Why does rubbing my bottom half on this couch feel really good?
Hey, stay away from that. That couch is mine.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry.
If I pull on it long enough, does something
Oh no,
happen?
you and I can share. I was just like that's like
If I pull on it long
Like
enough, does something happen? Oh shit! And the first time it does, you're like, "Wait, what?"
Like, something
Oh,
wrong
now I
with me?
have to deal with this.
Is this supposed to happen? Because heaven forbid they teach us in school.
Yeah, it's like, God damn, that's sticky. I don't like that.
I don't like that.
Meanwhile,
Nope.
I
No,
guess
sir.
I feel better. Like,
No, sir. I don't
Meanwhile,
care for it.
no,
Kirk's
sir, I didn't like it.
Kirk's frustrated out there helping Mom and Pa with the turnip harvest.
Yeah.
Like, I'm angry.
And it was mostly radishes we had.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I want to shoot some aliens.
Shoot some aliens. Yeah.
But I had an active dislike of FPS games as a kid. Like, and probably mostly because I had just been introduced to bad ones. Like, first off, I had a Mac and I didn't have Marathon, which not that would have saved it at all, because yeah. But I had played Doom on the Super Nintendo. And let's see here, what else?
Did you ever play GoldenEye or no?
I
GoldenEye
didn't
or
have-
Turok? No Turok?
I did play both GoldenEye and Turok a little bit at like friends' houses.
What
But
about
I
like
never had either of them.
any third-party ones like Jet Force Gemini or anything like that? No, really.
No.
Fascinating.
It's actually interesting. My intro was Red Faction.
Ooh, okay,
That's a good
okay.
one.
It is.
But yeah,
It's the reason why I'm a strange homunculus who uses my y-axis inverted instead of normal like the rest of you humans.
oh god,
Yeah, I can't do it. I have to.
friendship terminated with Betty.
Red Faction was defaulted to inverted, so that's how I learned how to play FPSs
Oh,
on a
that's
controller.
so bizarre. Yeah,
It's
although
okay.
I will
Everything
say,
supports it.
like
so.
flight simulators, I still prefer that. So
It actually makes the transition very easy for me.
yeah, but yeah, so like the first time, like I remember, and it was actually I think one of the first times was with you, Kirk. Sorry, I'm realizing now that I
Yeah,
when
he's
I just
pointing
say
aggressively at me.
you,
Yeah.
Like
but-
the listener's going to be like, me?
with you, listener.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
were there. But no, one of the first times that I played any of the Halo games was with you in your dorm room.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
like, this is kind of fun. I want to say Jason was like, hey, let's go hang out with Kirk. I was like, okay. And we went up there and you guys were playing Halo. And I was like, oh, that looks stupid. Like, we'll play. It's like, we need a fourth. And it's like, okay. And like, of course, I just got utterly destroyed because I'm terrible at FPS games. But I was like, this is actually kind of fun. And then I got a 360 and started playing some of the games. And I was like, oh, this has like a story to it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I hadn't yet been really introduced to Half-Life either.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Half-Life is an important part in this mix that we're talking about in terms of like, you know, placing Halo in its correct context. Because I feel like prior to Half-Life, most FPS games were just straight action stories.
And Half-Life 2 was also more inaccessible, I would say, to people because it was
Yeah.
PC. And then not only that, even though, I mean, to us, it's very primitive now, but back in the day, you needed a much better
You
computer
needed
to play Half-Life.
Something
Yeah.
beefy, yeah.
So it was a lot of people just didn't know about Half-Life.
Yeah. Well, and I guess my point is, I think, you know, Bungie certainly did.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Halo kind of feels like, in some ways, the spiritual successor to the original Half-Life, just in the way that it tells its story without too many cutscenes. There are cutscenes.
Mm-hmm.
But it goes through its plot largely just contiguous with the action.
In
of the
line
story.
with the gameplay, yeah.
Yeah.
Because even to
Dialogue overlays over the gameplay.
Yeah.
and then they make it apparent too that even like and I can go over the synopsis of the game too here shortly. I probably should.
Yeah.
But what makes the story even more interesting is the fact that none of the people involved are really like they don't understand what's going on Halo
Yes.
either. Nobody does. They don't know what it does. In fact, part of the missions are basically just trying to find out what the fuck is this?
going
Yeah,
on?
what is
Yeah.
this?
Yeah, and Master Chief is such a great, like, classic, like hero's journey player avatar.
Yeah.
In the same way that like Link is, because he's a silent protagonist.
Well,
Mostly.
he's not silent, but you
know,
don't
but-
see he has his helmet on, so you don't see his face, so you can better identify.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
He is still kind of an avatar, like in the narrative sense, because he doesn't have a lot of like peppy, like high energy personality.
No.
You know, he doesn't quip a whole lot. You know,
he's not a Marvel character, in other words.
Yeah. So Master Chief threw his shield.
Yeah, but they really did a great job of picking the voice actor for Master Chief too.
Yeah.
Steve Downs. Hey, he got found by Bungie because he was a radio DJ for some
that
place in
makes
Texas.
So much sense.
Like and I should have looked that up, but I know it was Midwest somewhere. But he was like a radio DJ, and someone had heard him. They were just like, I want this guy.
Yeah.
So they did and brought him in, and
he's such a smooth.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's probably appropriate to refer to him as a silent protagonist, mostly because, like, even though he has a voice, he's always wearing his helmet, and they do that intentionally so you can better identify him.
Well, yeah,
identify as him.
I guess more than silent protagonist, what I really wanted to say is he's kind of a cipher. Like, he's not, you never really get a really strong vibe on what he's feeling.
He's a very good avatar for yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Humanity has evolved to the point where we've colonized all of our own solar system and gone well outside of our own solar system. We've started to spread out, beyond our what is it called? We started to spread into our local cluster of solar systems or whatever. And at some point, we run into another alien species who's a little bit more advanced than us, called the Covenant. And there are a collection of various species, alien species, that have come together under one religious ideology. And they consider humanity, not at first, but eventually, as being heretical.
Right.
And we were on their holy territories and whatever. So they started this huge war. Humanity isn't doing so hot.
Right.
And
we're getting our ass kicked by the Protoss.
Yes. And this is a little, and this is a little bit, because you don't know what's happening or what was happening before the events of Halo until you play, like, either read the novels or got to play Halo Reach.
Right.
But at the start of Halo 1, you had just got out of slip space after escaping a planet called Reach, which was humanity's second biggest planet.
Right.
And you'll find out that is what the Covenant, the alien collection of alien species, that's what they thought was the human homeworld.
Right.
They were sorely mistaken. You'll find that out later. But they had just glassed that planet.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it was a
It's an event in the universe called the Fall of Reach.
the fall of Reach. It was billions, if not trillions, of people dead. Like, just horrifying. So you're on a ship, just got out of slip space. The AI on board, her name is Cortana, who helps maintain the ship, plotted a random course.
Right.
Sorry if all your computers just did weird shit.
Yeah. Cortana.
Yeah. Hey, Cortana.
Look up porn.
Yeah. Well, actually, yeah, they kind of stopped using Cortana. Yeah, and in fact, like, if you're not familiar with why you're the first AI assistant you had on your Windows machine, like why Cortana is there, is because of Halo.
Yeah.
And it's even voiced by Jen Taylor, who is the voice of Cortana in the game.
Oh, just real quick, can I just say, the Pillar of Autumn, which is the ship that you're on, is the coolest fucking name. The names in the Halo universe.
The names of the ships are wonderful.
All so fucking cool.
The Spirit of Fire, that's another good one. I really like that one. Anyway, so you come out of slip space, which, I mean, inside baseball, it wasn't such a random course that the AI picked out. She kind of subconsciously knew where she was going,
right?
But she didn't really know where she was going, if that makes any sense. That's a whole other later thing. But you end up at this weird floating artifact in outer space. It's a giant ring-shaped structure.
It's a ring world of the classic
exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's orbiting outside this planet, and it's a massive structure.
Right.
Their planets aren't as big as this ring structure.
Right.
But no one seems to know what the hell it is. But as you're kind of like, what is that? The aliens were chasing you, and they, who have faster ships, caught up to you.
Right.
The commander on board is like, we got to get out of here. Like, we're sitting ducks out here in outer space. Let's bring it to the surface of this weird artifact we found, and bring have them bring the fight to us on more level playing ground.
Yeah.
Your introductory mission is like the tutorial that teaches you how to play the game is basically you fighting your way to the bridge, and then fleeing the ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you play as a character named Master Chief. His name is also John, or John 117. Yeah. I'm not going to go into the whole Spartan program or anything like that, because they don't tell you anything about it in this game, and I kind of want to keep it narrowed to just this game. Right. Only give details where I think there is really necessary. But you're not like any of the other Marines. You are an actual superhuman, an augmented superhuman.
Right.
And you are in this amazing suit, essentially, like power armor.
Yeah.
From head to toe. Troopers. Yeah, very Starship Troopers. But you're already superhuman. You tower above everyone else because you're like 7 to 8 foot tall, and then with this huge armor, you're already bigger. Really, I like to compare Master Chief as basically like proto Space Marine from Warhammer 40k.
Yeah.
And for all you fucking nerds out there, just like, but actually the Adeptus Mechanicus would consider that technology to be heretical. Fucking fight me. The Emperor protects, motherfucker. I will come and purge you. He really is like the proto.
That's fucking excellent.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That's so good.
Burn the heretic, purge the unclean. That's you, bitch. For the Emperor.
I like shoot us.
Yeah. So Master Chief, he really is like, if you really wanted a simplified version of what Master Chief is, he really is like a proto Space Marine from the Warhammer 40k series.
Absolutely, yeah.
In Warhammer 40k, and a Space Marine there would be able to kick the shit out of him. John would put up a pretty good fight, but I really think an average Space Marine would probably take him down eventually.
That's a really good who would win in a fight.
Yeah, but those Space Marines, those are like 14 foot tall. They have double hearts and mass like
the big
actually Goku
swords.
would win.
Yeah, Goku would win.
You did it, Goku.
Yeah, again, it's like, if you looked actually into the Imperium Mechanicum fucking whatever and the medical things, you'll know that they actually have 3 hearts or whatever the hell. Shut up and keep painting your miniatures and just fucking leave me alone.
I like miniatures.
Yeah, I really like Warhammer 40. That's how I even know some of these references and like knew that they have multiple hearts and all that shit and like what's all involved. But yeah, anyway, yeah.
Yeah. So which chapter is he part of?
Jesus.
What would he be? I think he'd probably be like Imperial Fist, maybe. I don't think he'd be an Ultramarine.
No.
He wouldn't be a Blood Raven. I don't think he'd be a Space Wolf either.
Though they are very cool.
Yeah. There's some Warhammer nerds
okay,
are sure
right,
getting mad.
yes.
It's like, he wouldn't be any of them. He would be a Grey Knight and be like, shut the fuck up!
all right. So you're on the pillar bottom.
And I shove him into a locker and be like, and I better not see you at the big dance. Anyway, so
Kirk's wearing a white like 3-piece in this fucking.
No, I'm wearing my Letterman's jacket.
Nice.
I'm beating up on all the nerds.
I don't know why, but like when you started saying like what you thought Kirk was wearing, I thought you were going to be like a white robe and a cowl, and I was like, oh no, that's a different kind of extremist there.
No,
Brent, that's not what Kirk is.
No, it's just like football player beating the shit out of nerds. This isn't the Klan.
And
it's a different level of hate crime.
But I'm actually Jesus Christ. I gotta get us back on track.
Okay.
So like, I'm glad I made the Warhammer 40k comparison because like in that universe, how seeing a Space Marine, some people never get to see a Space Marine in their lives. They're held to such a high regard. They're almost holy.
Yeah.
Even the Marines seeing a Spartan, especially let alone John 117 Master Chief.
Yeah.
When they see you are borderline awe-inspiring.
Yeah.
They're like they even say like, oh, thank God we're saved because you're there.
Yeah.
That's how powerful your character is.
They cheer, they rally.
Yeah, they cheer, they rally. They're just like, hell yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's fucking go. Like, but even with all your technology and strength, you can still struggle against these aliens because they are a bit more technical advanced, at least in this time in the game series. So you crash land on this artifact, and that's pretty much, well, like I said, or like Benny said, the first real tutorial is fighting through the ship that you are on and then escaping the ship and landing on the planet.
Yeah.
You land on the planet. You kind of start figuring out, like, where did this come from? It's obviously not from humanity, and it's not Covenant either. What is this? So you explore more, and you're with the help of the AI, because she can kind of disseminate some of this information and the architecture and what's going on and some of the systems on this ring. She's like, oh, it's a weapon.
Right.
And we might be able to use it against the Covenant.
Right.
And then as you start exploring, you run into kind of a caretaker AI construct called 343 Guilty Spark. And
Guilty Spark.
Yeah, you may. I'm going to kind of jump around, but I really think like it's important to introduce him before introducing the other part. So the structure is also, it is a weapon, you find out, but you don't necessarily know what the weapon does.
Right.
But also it's also kind of a research station.
Right.
And on this research station is a parasitic species called the Flood. And
one of the most terrifying enemies in fiction, I think.
Yeah, they're almost like the traditional zombie kind of, like they bite you, you're infected. The Flood's not too much different from that.
Well, and also like I made the joking like we're getting our ass kicked by the Protoss. And it's like if we're making that comparison,
the Flood is the Zerg.
The Flood are the Zerg, right? Because they absorb whatever biological matter they find into themselves.
So during this point, like you're like, oh well, now we got to fight the Flood because you figure out that it's parasitic, and you even see like your fallen comrades suddenly reanimating and chasing you and trying to kill you. But luckily, you're in your spacesuit, so you're a bit more protected,
right,
from infection. Like that's not a worry.
Yeah.
So you're just like, oh shit, if they get on a spaceship and that spaceship lands on a planet, like this could get out of control real fast.
It's game over.
And but the Flood, if they get to like a large enough mass, it starts to become like far more intelligent.
Right. And
because they are kind of borderline hive mind. That caretaker from that alien's construct of Halo, 343 Guilty Spark, is trying to help you at this point activate Halo.
Right.
Because it's more concerned about the Flood outbreak, which is legitimate.
Yeah.
So you get all the way to... there's like finding the index and everything, like because it's a big process, and doing it with just one man with just such a huge structure, it takes time. Even if like he'll teleport you around this ring to make this process go faster, because he explains, I can't do this myself. I don't like have permission, basically. Right. So you have to do it, human.
And I think he even says that like a biological entity has to do it.
He's essentially just a floating AI construct, basically,
right?
Like a little sphere. It's kind of cute.
He is stupid cute. Yeah.
He reminds me of Wheatley from
from Portal 2.
Even the shape and everything too.
And even kind of like an morally ambiguous kind of
both the adorable and the malevolent. Yeah. He's very Wheatley-ish. I never thought of that.
So you get all the way to basically activating it. You're in the process of activating this one, then your own AI construct, who's been inside the system kind of researching things on her own.
She's been inside you.
Yeah, she's been inside you. She shuts that shit down.
Right.
She was just like, oh, yeah, and really a what the fuck are you doing moment.
Right.
Cortana's just like, she actually says, do you have any idea what that bastard almost made you do?
Right.
And he was just like, Master Chief, your own character, is like, yeah, activate this ring and destroy the Covenant and the Flood. And that's when you find out that the ring... It is a weapon. It doesn't necessarily kill the Flood. It kills their food.
Right.
So all biological organisms within, I can't remember 343. He explains like the radius of that is
colossal.
It's hundreds of light years radius where it kills any biological animal, so the Flood can't spread.
Yeah. I really like.
It's
I got the impression.
It's a fire break.
Yes, exactly. I got the distinct impression that it was like gonna be most of the Milky Way galaxy extinguished.
And then 343, he's kind of confused because there is some...
He thought you were on board with this the whole time.
And that goes into, again, later in the series and the games and the novels, like he's already aware of humanity. He thinks you're there to help.
Right.
And you're totally on board with what's going on. But he didn't realize, because even he's confused. He's like, what do you mean? How did you not know that's what this does?
Yeah.
Because he was always under the assumption like, well, humanity knows what this does.
Well, it kind of starts informing why the Covenant is doing what they're doing as well.
Yeah.
Like why they're afraid of the Flood.
Yeah.
They're
and
mixed like reverent and in fear of.
Mm-hmm. and they think Halo is this construct is like a holy artifact that will bring them into their paradise.
Yeah.
So that's why they're fighting so hard for it too. I should have said that earlier, but that's why the Covenant give a shit about this, and then humanity putting their dirty ape footprints on it is just
damn dirty ape.
It's heretical, and we need to purge these goddamn humans. So all that's going on too on the surface of the planet, and they keep getting in the way. But so then 343 turns on you, and it was just like, this needs to happen, you stupid human.
Right.
But it's like, there's got to be another way. And so you decide the best way to contain the flood and everything else, because at this point it's starting to like spread to the surface of the planet.
Yeah.
That's nearby. It's like,
which there's a mission where you because up to that point, everywhere you've been on Halo is like a temperate forest.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a mission where you go and you're like in this deep swamp.
That's on Halo 2 still. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, I know, but I mean, I'm saying it's in a different geographic location in Halo, on Halo, I should say. And the moment from Aliens where he's got the little device where Hicks is like, they're everywhere, man.
Mm-hmm.
They're right fucking here. Because you have this little radial...
your radar map.
Radar, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you just see red in every direction, and it's such a great ominous moment. But yeah, like they have the flood have completely overtaken most of the surface.
They're spreading to other parts of the ring planet. I think I just said like planet earlier. I meant the ring planet because it's a ring planet. It's weird describing it as referring to a planet as a ring, but so that was a weird thing. But so they're starting, and it's like, well, how do we kill them?
Right,
because we can't let them spread to any other nearby planets or anything. We got to contain this now. And they're just like, hey, well, our crashed ship we landed here on, well, that is powered by some very high tech, slip space engines for one,
right,
which are extremely highly volatile under the circumstances, and then like fusion reactors too. So it's like, let's detonate this bitch and turn it into a sun.
It's the only way to be sure.
Yeah. So they're just like, all right, well, let's
so many
overload its reactor and just blow this entire ring to hell and get the hell out of here.
Right.
So that's actually what you end up doing. I know I'm glossing over a lot of missions there, but there's a big high octane drive when you're trying to just get to like one of the last remaining ships that's capable of
that last
orbit.
Mission is cool.
Yeah,
it's neat.
And sorry, go ahead.
And then you do end up escaping.
Yeah,
the ring explodes into pieces and luckily burns up and kills all the flood.
Right.
The Covenant, they're still nearby. They're pissed off, but most of them are dead too. You kill an entire armada.
Right.
They're in no shape to fight back or even pursue you.
Right.
And that's pretty much where the game ends and then leads into Halo 2.
Hey everybody, it's Future Brent here. Just wanted to let you know we're cutting the episode here. We got about 2 hours of total coverage of the original Halo. So yeah, I'm going to split it into 2 episodes for you guys. We will be coming back in 2 weeks to cover the graphics, the sound, and also just our general impressions and thoughts about the game. If you like what we're doing, please check us out on Discord, Facebook. We do have all of our podcasts do go up on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, and so forth. And we will talk to you again in about 2 weeks. Bye.
Probably won't want them anyways, covered in soap and alcohol.
Yeah, it's soap, water, and vodka. And it kills fucking everything.
Covered in soap and alcohol. That's kind of like my Sunday mornings after a night of
All right.
Yeah, but
but you only mix them together once before you learn your lesson.
Yeah. Not like drinking mouthwash. That was
because this was mixed together and that wasp died fucking fast.
Yeah.
So
and it's like and alcohol is used in soap and shit too, or like cleaner. So it's like weird.
Well, that's why every time I get sick, I just drink tons of vodka. I'm just swabbing down and sanitizing the inside.
Yeah,
of
what could
myself.
go wrong?
Yeah.
Have you tried injecting bleach?
I haven't yet.
Yeah.